Good evening, guys. So before you get all bored of the charts, hit that likes and subscribe button, guys. We have roughly 45 minutes here until the markets are opening. I just uploaded a video of, what I'm seeing here heading into this week. Again, a lot of things going on with, the Middle East conflict and all that, but we'll definitely see where the charts are at this moment in time and what happened the past few weeks here. So definitely worth checking out. A Twitter recap here. I have gathered roughly 12 not stocks here, but 12 charts of people that I follow on Twitter, which if you are on Twitter, you should follow them. They do very good stuff. But also here, follow me on Twitter and on YouTube and also on the Substack, guys. I highly appreciate your support. So yeah, with that said, let's get straight into the business, as always. Very often we have Stefano here on the show, if you can call it the show, I don't know. But on the videos, Stefano is heavily into the commodity sector, does a lot of very cool long-term charts. This is a bit more short-term-ish, but again, decade-long charts with various ratios and a lot of good stuff. Definitely 100% worth a follow if you were to ask me. So silver here, where have I already seen this movement? Even then, the extreme oversold bullish pattern at the end break of a rise of 6.5% to touch the bearish trend channel. Will it be the same this time above, roughly 19.3? So what he's talking to is back in 2023, we had the similar breakdown there, and then we snapped back. And then we came back to the breakdown level, and then we started to move. So kind of similar patterns to that. Again, it's only in quotes, only on the 4-hourly. So we will definitely see how it goes. What I liked about silver this week, again, there were nothing major good things to write home about, but silver actually did quite well in the past 2 days, into the weekend here, where everything basically sold off heavily. Everything sold off, almost anything, none other than the TLT, silver and gold. So that was quite a good, thing to see for finally, at least for silver. Tavi Costa here yesterday. So this has to be the day after the FOMC, stated that they were not going to cut rates, and then we saw, I think, on the August, the 1 of August here, we saw the very, very bad job numbers, if I'm not mistaken, here on Friday. But anyways, Tavi Costa here yesterday, Powell insisted that the economy is neither overheating nor slowing. I couldn't disagree more. That's a good statement, by the way. A sharply steepening yield curve after a deep inversion is, in my view, screaming recession ahead. So basically what you have here is the 10-year yield compared to the 3-month. Usually I do the 10s and 2s, but again, it doesn't really matter. What you can see here, how severe inverted we have been, basically meaning that the rates in the short term were a lot higher than in the long term. Basically, the bond market is a lot more fearful from what is happening in the short term compared to the longer term. So we are deeply inverted, but also the length is quite astonishing. You can see here, ever since going back many years here, ever since we started to invert, you had, crisis, inversion there, the dot-com bubble, crisis, global financial crisis, into inversion here, and then you had the GFC, tiny bit of a COVID recession here, and then we had the big one here. So, but one thing I would like to note is, yes, I do think this is still very much, like the 100% in quote indicator, but also we have to remember that the bond market broke down in 2020. So let's see what it means. I do think it means what it still does, but again, I can't seem to stop thinking about, the bond market is not the same. So will we see the same afterwards? We will have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Rock bottom entries here. He is showing us the GDX is still holding its 50 weekly moving average. while the market gets absolutely clobbered here. This is relative strength and the reason why I'm holding numerous positions. When the dust settles, the miners will outperform everything. Also, great statement, by the way. Also, you can see here that it had a bad week. You can see that candle there. Pretty nasty, not gonna lie here. But you have a support trend line coming up here, basically roughly where we are. The 50 daily moving average and this big breakout horizontal trend line, which we are trying to turn into support. So hopefully we see the bouncing and then we start to rally higher for the GDX, the GDX. Great here, the big silver breakout level using the yearly time frame. So yearly time frame candles is roughly 31 to 32. So you can see here the highs over here, that major high there, and then you can see we're basically there. So if we get above that, on a monthly closing basis, roughly 31 to 32, fireworks, at least in my opinion, will start to happen. I also saw or read that there were a very big, again, it maybe doesn't mean a whole lot, but there were a very big call option made at $200 silver for the end of, was it September or August? I can't remember, but $200, that's a big bet. And it was actually a lot of dollars, the bet were made on. So yeah, when silver moves, it is the most hated, the most shorted, also hated to some degree, shorted commodity that there is by far. So Rashad here, gold to silver ratio at key resistance. Yep, right there. Big resistance, looking back 1 year. Also, if you go back and zoom out 4 years, you have a trend line coming up here. Basically, we are retesting that major breakdown right here. So yeah, we should see, the highest probability is we start to roll over here and gold and silver will do its thing. North Star here, my good man Kevin. Ethereum hodlers need to see this line to hold on tomorrow's weekly close. I don't know if it did hold or not. Again, I have to check that. But again, I just want to show you, again, sometimes all you need is one or maybe two trend lines. You can see here, this goes back to 2017. You have the March 2020 event here, touching here, and then we are basically potentially breaking down. So one trend line here really defines your entire setup. And then as you have a shorter term here, the ceiling basically. So if we get back above there, really bullish, by the way. But now we are trying to break down here. Also horizontally, we have something going on here, roughly 3K. So yeah, definitely worth watching here with regarding to Ethereum. And yeah, same thing goes, as I talked about with Bitcoin. In my video about the market, weekly open here, I'm discussing a little bit of crypto. You can look into that. Ran Newmy here, a long text here. But again, I were not this aware of the importance of the dollar and yen, the FX market. So basically the currency pair between the USD and the yen. I did not know how important it actually were for the entire economy. And again, read this. It's very, very good stuff. I didn't know. I've also seen a few videos on YouTube, you basically here explaining why that currency pair is so important for basically the entire, global economy. I didn't know that. So I learned a lot this weekend, by the way. Pretty cool. Pretty cool to learn something new. Trend spotter here with NVIDIA, back to the trend zone where it all started. So you can see here that this is the, again, maybe if you add the green line here to there, you're getting that we have broken down. But again, it's very early. So, but again, one trend line, that's all you need to know in this case. And we are basically at support. I will also note that we have come down a long way. So I don't think it will break down. I think we will rally. But if we start to rally and just start to very weak rally here and then break, that's game over. So you can also see that this fractal here coming down, a little bit of a bounce, and then tag is the same as this one here, coming down, little bounce, and then tag. So these two are, for now, very identical. And I'm expecting buying coming in here. Obviously, if we start to lose, that trend line, it opens up potentially a can of worms there. But we still have a lot of horizontal support here at the gap. I can't remember the level because we had the, didn't we have the split, reverse split, I think. So according to this, at roughly 90, you have a huge gap here. And that is, so even though if we break down, you still have some support there. Jake here with the SPY and the VIX. Interesting overlay between the SPY divided by the VIX, showing that when the VIX gets this high, we generally have to put in a low or very close to it. So you can see the ratio here between in the VIX here is biking, and that is when you're putting in the low. So potentially we have already seen the worst of it. Again, we have to wait and see, obviously, but again, it's a good take here. And again, that's also why mixing in different variables is often a very good thing when it comes to charting. So pretty cool. J Hinster, the VIX again at resistance. So you can see here, this big anomaly here was the March 2020. So you had a huge VIX spike there because, yeah, for obvious reasons. You are into resistance here. So just combining the chart that we saw with Jake, I'm expecting to see a pullback here in the VIX, by the way. We are now at roughly 30, I think. Yeah, roughly 30. I could see us going all the way down to like 23, 24, roughly. And then we shall see. Last but not least here, Dollar Trader. He's posting a ton of good charts, by the way, good description, good, text here explaining it. And yeah, so you can go and read that yourself. But again, I just want to show you that I'm also seeing the same here. We have a lot of support at 24. We shall see how it goes. I'm also explaining, these 4-hump fractal here. And we are basically at the point where the last time we had this similar move, we started to rally big time. Again, we have to wait and see until that happens. But yeah. And if we have like a bear flag here and we come down, I agree, we are going down to the lows at roughly 18. That would stink heavily, but again, at least we have a major excuse to buy more. But that would definitely be a tough one to be a part of, really. So that's it. That is all the charts, all the accounts that I have found for this time around. As I mentioned, if you're still here from the beginning, please follow me on YouTube, guys, and the Twitter stuff, and especially the Substack, daily multiple videos is coming up there on the markets, uranium, gold and silver, platinum, oil, basically a lot of commodities where I express my opinion. And yeah, have an amazing day, guys. We have to wait 30 minutes until the markets are opening, at least the futures. Have a great day, guys.